Everything is being reformulated. Your fragrances, your food, your services, your entire consumer experience is quietly degrading while you pay the same price or more. The disturbing part of this is that we're letting it happen, and worse is that we're becoming conditioned to expect it. This is what the tech critic Cory Doctorow calls Enshittification, the systematic degradation of everything from platforms to products to our basic expectations of quality. And it's not just changing what we buy, it's literally changing who we are. Let's start with what you can measure, because the invisible stuff gets worse from there. There's a thing called shrinkflation. If you've never heard of that term, it basically means you're paying more for less. Chip bags and cereal boxes, they stayed the same size, but you get less inside. Lots of people didn't notice because it was the same price. Hell, even toilet paper was affected. A typical family that's purchasing 20 of these affected products monthly may actually receive around 8 to 12% less product volume for the same money compared to previous years. Roughly 1/3 out of about 100 common consumer products have shrunk in size or servings since the pandemic. But that is just size reduction. That's the easy one to spot if you're paying attention, which most of us aren't. There's also a thing called skimpflation, which is quality degradation. And that's when they change the ingredients. In Britain, the supermarket mayonnaise actually changed from 9% egg yolk to 6% egg and 1.5% egg yolk. Same price, worse product. Sausages reduced their pork content, replaced it with cheaper ingredients. I mean, I guess that one's not so bad because no one knows what the fuck is in sausages anyway, but they're just too delicious for me to be curious. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole and spoil it. Pizza Hut introduced the skinny slice. Less cheese, less dough, but same price, marketed as healthier. Dude, if I wanted to be skinny, I wouldn't be eating at Pizza Hut. That's like saying low-fat oil. What?
What?
Companies are switching to cheaper ingredients, reducing quality while maintaining the prices, sometimes raising the prices. What?
What?
Meanwhile, corporate profits rose 5 times faster than inflation, with 41% of inflation due solely to corporate profit making. Why are they doing this? Well, they're doing this because consumers are most sensitive to price. Consumers in general would rather have prices stay the same and get less or shittier products than the other way round. We also have service degradation, which is things like hotels that offer shittier breakfasts, or reducing housekeeping frequency, or airlines removing legroom, charging for bags that used to be free. I mean, what's next? Like charging you for using the airplane toilet? Don't get any ideas. They're degrading the entire flying experience while ticket prices have actually gotten heaps more expensive.
Yes, but what does that have to do with fragrance?
Well, listen, every major reformulation makes the juice weaker, the performance worse, and the quality cheaper, while the prices climb higher. I know we notice, I know we complain online because I read it, and then we buy it anyway. That's what it has to do with fragrance. At this point, one would have to conclude that this isn't just random corporate greed. It's actually more like a systematic process with predictable stages. Cory Doctorow coined the term enshittification to describe how tech platforms die. Think of Facebook as an example. First, they are good to their users. Then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. And then finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. And then they fuck everybody over whilst keeping them trapped in the ecosystem. The users stay there because the community is there, and the business customers stay there because the users are there. The process happens through what Doctorow calls twiddling, the continual adjustment of parameters until everything is optimized for shareholder profit rather than user experience. Now, I blame this solely on the sellouts at these organizations that parade around calling themselves product managers. They're the people responsible for this. How do I know? I'm a product manager. I'm a tech platform product manager. And the reason why I'm not higher up in the corporate ladder is because I've retained my role as the voice of the customer. Maybe I should rethink my position because I want more money. Anyway, Doctorow describes the 3 stages of enshittification. Stage 1 is the honeymoon, when things start out great. Facebook connects you with all of your friends. Google gives you perfect search results with minimal ads. Amazon offers low prices and an incredible selection. Your favorite fragrance house releases masterpieces. They're deliberately operating at a loss to gain users. They're doing that as well to build network effects, lock you in. You become a fanboy of the house. You tell your friends, you get incredible value. They join, they tell their friends. You all become dependent. Stage 2, the betrayal. Once you're locked in, the degradation begins. Facebook's algorithm starts showing you less content from friends, more from advertisers. Google search results become polluted with SEO spam and ads, and Amazon becomes a hellish dumpster fire of counterfeit products and paid placements. Your fragrance house, on the other hand, reformulates the classics using cheaper materials, worse performance, but maintains the brand cachet and raises prices because you're already loyal to the name. It's my signature scent. Stage 3, the extraction, where they don't even pretend anymore. The product exists solely to extract maximum value for shareholders. Google degraded search quality deliberately. Internal memos actually shows they made users input more queries to get answers because that would lead to more ads being shown and more revenue. After all, even if Google couldn't find more people to search or more ways to use search, well, they certainly find new ways to charge for search. The platform shifts surpluses to shareholders, leaving just enough residual value to keep users stuck without leaving anything extra on the table. Now you might be saying, yeah, Raf, I know all of this. Great. So why do you let it happen? I mean, I'm certainly guilty of continuing to be a consumer of less chips in my bag and shittier tasting Maltesers, and I've done absolutely nothing about it. I mean, I've continued to buy them as per normal. So, is this all our fault? Are we the baddies?
Are we the baddies?
Yes, partially. Definitely. Let me count the ways. 1, we're creatures of habit. Once we're locked into a platform or a service or a brand, switching costs feel enormous, even when they're not. We know Facebook is terrible, but all our friends and our photos and our groups are there. We know Google search is degraded, but we've been using it for 20 years. Hell, I've been using Google search for 27 years. We know the reformulated fragrance is worse, but we've already bought 6 bottles and we're emotionally invested. Humans are hardwired to continue patterns, even when those patterns are actively harmful. The effort required to research alternatives, learn new systems, rebuild networks, it feels impossible. So we accept degradation as the price of convenience. 2, we're price sensitive, but in stupid ways. We'll drive across town to save $2 on gas, but we won't spend 10 minutes researching whether the product we're buying has been shrinkflated. The time cost to research purchases properly, to compare things like unit prices and track ingredient changes and monitor reformulations, this feels too high, too damn high, compared to just grabbing the familiar package. And that's what we do. We optimize for immediate cognitive ease rather than long-term values. Companies know this, and they exploit this ruthlessly. 3, we don't actually calculate time costs. Think about how much time you spend complaining about reformulations online versus how much time you spend finding alternatives. We'll write 1,000-word Fragrantica reviews about how Aventus isn't what it used to be, but we won't spend that same hour finding a fragrance that is what Aventus used to be. Loewe make a really nice one. Outrage is easier than action. Complaining feels productive while costing nothing, but it is costing your time. Unfortunately, you don't value that enough. It's obvious because you're watching this. 4, we're self-defeated before we start. When we do hear about dickheads like me talking about shrinkflation, enshittification, reformulation, are we shocked? Or have we become so conditioned to expect degradation that our response is basically, yeah, of course they did that. We've developed learned helplessness. We know everything is getting worse. We know we're paying more for less. And we've decided, there's nothing we can do about it, so why bother trying? 5, We mistake awareness for action. Knowing about a problem feels like solving the problem. We read articles about enshittification, we understand shrinkflation, where intellectually we are aware that fragrance reformulations are degrading quality, and then we keep buying the same products anyway, because awareness without behavior change is just informed and shitty consumption. It's like Groundhog Day, but you keep on doing the same stupid thing because you're too used to doing it. That's how we've always done it.
Watch out for that first step, it's a doozy.
My unique concept for this video is the reformulation syndrome. The consumer reformulation syndrome is the systematic degradation of human expectations that occurs when consumers repeatedly accept lower quality products at similar or higher prices. Named after the fragrance industry's perpetual reformulation cycle, this syndrome describes how accepting degraded offerings doesn't just affect purchasing behavior, it fundamentally reforms consumer psychology. Sufferers actually develop learned helplessness, believing that resistance is futile. They also develop nostalgia addiction, preferring to complain rather than act, and expectation deflation, where things getting worse becomes normal, and the soft bigotry of low expectations applied to one's self. The endpoint is consumers who've internalized enshittification as inevitable becoming complicit in their own exploitation by redefining surrender as sophistication. And as we keep accepting reformulated and degraded product offerings at higher prices, we're accepting bad deals. But we're also being reformulated ourselves as a species. We're developing what George W. Bush, and I'm quoting George W., he once called it the soft bigotry of low expectations, except we're doing it to ourselves. We're normalizing lower quality as a standard. Children growing up now think that toilet paper with 20 fewer sheets per roll is normal, that fragrance reformulations are inevitable, that services degrading over time is just how capitalism works. Won't someone please think of the children? We're teaching the next generation that excellence is nostalgic. Back in the day, things used to be better. That's shit that boomers complain about. But it was actually reality. We're teaching the next generation that accepting worse while paying more is mature consumer behavior. And also, we're teaching them that surveillance is necessary. Another thing that enshittification depends on is surveillance. Platforms can only extract maximum value if they can measure, predict, and influence behavior at scale. We've accepted this as the price of free services. Now, we don't just expect surveillance, we expect it. A product that doesn't track us feels broken. A service that doesn't use our data to personalize our experience feels primitive. I went to a brick and mortar store last week to buy some protein powder, and they wanted my name and email address and my phone number. Why? So they can send me a receipt. And now they send me sales emails. At this point, every little shitty website or storefront has your personal information, most likely stored on some shitty database that can be DDoSed or brute forced to death. But that story aside, the most insidious reformulation is actually psychological. We've transformed consumer powerlessness into a form of sophistication. Of course they reformulated it. That's just capitalism. That sounds wise. It sounds worldly and realistic. It's not. We're calling surrender understanding and pretending that explaining why we can't win is the same thing as fighting, and we're addicted to degradation. Doctorow argues that enshittification works because companies move faster than regulations, and they're using digital platforms' flexibility to change the rules constantly. The creeping digitization taking over society brings forth the enshittification of it. But we've gone further now. We're now addicted to the cycle. We enjoy complaining about reformulations more than we'd enjoy finding the alternatives. The outrage is the product now. We consume degradation. We discuss degradation. We bond over shared degradation. And we call this community. Probably because we get rewarded for it. Like this video. I'd be lucky if it cracked a few hundred views. If I'd done a video on the top 10 worst reformulated fragrances of all time, I'd probably get a few thousand views. And that creates this negative feedback loop in a race to the bottom. Just when you thought you weren't depressed enough, Even if you personally resist, you buy wisely, you avoid enshittified platforms, you seek out quality products, the structural forces making everything worse, they don't care. They don't care. Enshittified platforms act as both a monopoly on services and a monopsony on customers. The high switching costs prevent either from leaving, even when alternatives technically exist. The policy environment actually rewards companies for being terrible, and competition law hasn't really been enforced properly since the Reagan era. And regulatory capture means that the agencies that are there to supposedly protect consumers are run by former industry executives. The right to repair is actually restricted as well. Ask Louis Rossmann. And interoperability is criminalized. One person can't fight an entire system designed to extract value at every level. You can be the most informed, resistant, alternative-seeking consumer in the world, and the enshittification continues because it's not driven by individual choices. It's driven by policy failures and concentrated power. Some might equate that to IFRA, the International Fragrance Association, who effectively write fragrance policy by banning and restricting ingredients that can be used in perfumes. And the concentration of power are the four major chemical companies: Givaudan, IFF, Firmenich, and Symrise. These guys control most of the ingredients and own the patents of the synthetic equivalents of the natural ingredients that IFRA bans. These four fragrance companies are also the main donors funding IFRA. Now, I don't have any hard evidence that they're doing anything dodgy, but there's bad vibes all over this setup. So yes, it's our fault. We accept reformulations. We keep buying degraded products. We complain instead of acting. We've been conditioned to expect less while paying more, and we're teaching the next generation that this is normal. But it's also not our fault, because individual consumer choices can't solve structural problems created by policy failures, regulatory capture, and monopolistic power. Both things are true. We're complicit and we're victims. We're being reformed as we accept reformulated products. Our expectations are being degraded as product quality degrades. We're becoming people who accept less, expect less, demand less, and people who think that resistance is naive rather than necessary. The soft bigotry of low expectations we're applying to ourselves is changing what it means to be a consumer in late-stage capitalism. We're not just buying worse products, we're becoming worse buyers, more defeated, more cynical, more willing to accept that everything gets worse and there's nothing we can do about it. How happy is this video? Okay. The more enshittified products we consume, the more we become enshittified consumers. And the most successful reformulation of all isn't fragrance or food or services. It's the reformulation of human expectations from "this should be better" to "this is as good as it gets." When we accept that reformulation of ourselves, we've lost something more valuable than any product or service. We've lost the capacity to imagine and demand something better.